evolution it doesn't exist. What's going on, Wally?
Oh, you're another evolution denier. I thought VOR was like the only one on here.
Another what now?
Evolution denier?
Sure, you can classify me that.
Do you think evolution happens?
Define, what do you mean by? I was going through it. I know you went here. So I believe that there's 6 different types of evolution, and I think only one of them is part of science, and that would be microevolution.
Change in allele frequency over time in populations, the only definition there is.
Okay, well, give me an example of one of those. Just give me an example of that happening one time.
Are your kids identical to you? Are your kids your clone?
That's
Okay, so
micro.
there's a change in allele frequency, right?
That's microevolution, brother. I agree with you on that one.
Change in allele frequency over time, the only definition of evolution there is.
There's different styles of evolution. So for evolution to happen, I think you would agree that you would have to have genetic information gained, would you not?
No, because science has used the term information like that. Like, what part of chemistry is information?
Okay, let's grant that life's already here. I'll give you life. I'll let you
Wait, you
start
didn't
off.
answer my question. What part
You
of
don't.
chemistry is information?
I'm telling you, there is none. I don't know any part of chemistry that's information.
Okay, so when we're talking about molecules such as DNA, when you say that evolution requires new genetic information, you're not really saying anything. You're just saying there's different molecular structures.
That it requires information.
What
There's
part of
there's
chemistry is information?
there's information in DNA, and like
What
I
part
said,
of chemistry is information?
let's get past chemistry. I'll give you chemistry. I'll give you a single-celled organism.
That's what genetics is. It's chemistry.
Okay, you can't show me how life came from chemistry. I mean, you may argue that, but there's no way you're going to be able to explain it. There's every scientist in the world cannot,
Sure.
nobody can replicate how chemistry got together and created life.
Do you think an oak tree fits inside an acorn?
We're going back and forth now. So, I mean, I asked you a question. You wanted to do the chemistry thing. So now I'm gonna hop on the chemistry thing. You have to show me how chemistry come together and created life because
Prove evolution? Absolutely not.
there's information in life. Okay, so do you want me to grant you life and then we can move from that, or do you want to stay on chemistry where you can't come up with life and then I don't know what you're
Genetics is chemistry.
okay. So I'm
Okay.
granting you single, and I think you would agree that life is information, right?
That doesn't mean anything. What part of chemistry is information?
DNA is absolutely information. It's a blueprint for building your body. Now you said DNA, you classify that as chemistry. So
It's a
there's the answer to
molecule,
your question.
yes. Okay, so you're saying
DNA,
DNA. So what part of DNA? Like, which part of it?
all of it. It's a blueprint for building a person or
Like
whatever.
the penta sugar? Are you talking about like the phosphorus? Like, what are you talking about here?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
I'm talking. Do you not know what DNA is?
I know it's a blueprint. I mean, if you're asking me to be a microbiologist on it, I'm gonna appeal to someone else.
You mean you're going to appeal to the people that believe in evolution?
I can listen to them on certain aspects about
Hey,
their
what's up,
stuff.
man? Okay, if you're going to say DNA is information, but you don't know what DNA is, it's a molecule. How
Is
can
it
you
a
make that
blueprint?
statement?
Is it a blueprint for building life? Yes or no?
Why are monkeys still
No, it's not
around?
paper.
Hold on. Wait a minute, Skippy. I'll get to you in a moment, bud. Uh, so, would you agree that it's a blueprint for building whatever organism
No, blueprints are pieces of paper that humans make. Molecules are not blueprints.
So you're telling me that DNA doesn't tell the body how to build like an arm, a leg, a
DNA
mouth?
doesn't speak. No, of course not.
I I I don't know where we can go from here if we can't get
We could
past
talk about the chemistry.
if we can't agree that DNA is information, it contains information, then it's just going to be me stating a fact and you going nuh-uh. Then
Sure.
that's
I actually have taken a genetics class and I'm currently taking an evolutionary biology class. So I don't think you've done either of those. But just to be clear, we could talk about the
appeal to
genetics.
an
We
authority.
could not
You
appeal to authority, it's an appeal to being in a lab and doing the
exactly
work.
what it is. That's exactly what either my arguments have weight or they don't. It doesn't matter if I have a doctor's degree, which you don't know anything about me. You don't know what I've taken, what I've done. You
I
just
guarantee you've never taken a
appeal
genetics
to
or
an
evolutionary
authority.
biology class.
I've taken this class. I'm this doctorate. Either my arguments have weight or they don't.
They
So
don't. And I'll tell you why they don't. So again, when you say that DNA is information, what part of it is information? What part of the chemistry is information?
all of it together that creates DNA. It's just like making a cake, right? When you have your cake batter and you have your baking soda and you have your salt and you have all of your different ingredients together, individual, they're not. But once they're together to make that cake, it's a cake. So you take whatever part you want to. We have to be able to move on from this. And I want to have a good conversation. But if we can't agree that DNA, and I don't know what chemistry class is not teaching you that DNA is not information. Wow,
They don't teach that past middle school
that makes my
chemistry.
point way stronger because now they're teaching people in college classes that DNA doesn't contain information. So I don't know what to help you with, brother.
Sure.
If we
So
can't agree
once you
that
pass like middle school genetics, they stop saying that because did you ever hear the saying that the more you go in school, the less they lie to you? It's like this. It's like those charts of the solar. Do you believe that the solar like Earth isn't flat, right?
Earth is flat, no, I
No, no,
don't.
no. You okay? Great. You don't believe. Okay, you know those like those pictures of the solar system where all of the planets are lined up nice and closely next to each other, right? Not actually spaced out. We agree that that isn't true, right? Yeah, it's a simplification. Do we agree saying that? Because again, it's chemistry. When you say chemistry is information, that's a simplification, right?
Okay.
Okay, it's not actually the case that it's information. It's chemistry. Just
Okay.
like the planets aren't actually lined up nice and perfectly right next to each other.
Okay. So we got to move on from this. I don't know how. I can't stay stuck on DNA is not information because I that it takes information to build your DNA is a blueprint. It is. I don't have to
What do
take
you think a blueprint is?
it tells you how to build something. So
Okay,
without you
when you say it tells you blueprints for like engineering, they're literally pieces of paper with writing on them. That's all they are. Do you think that's what DNA is? Do you think it's a piece of paper with writing on it?
I think you're using now you're using another fallacy called an exact word fallacy, and I think anybody listening knows
Then
exactly
you're
what.
equivocating. You're doing the reverse.
No, I'm not. I'm not using an exact word fallacy.
No, you're equivocating.
Okay, well, I'm equivocating with everyone who has always said, for the history of time, except for now, your new biology class, that's always stated that DNA is a blueprint for building things.
Past middle school genetics, they
It's
don't
in
say that.
Jurassic Park, by the way. You can go watch the stupid little molecule that spins around, and he talks about.
Dinosaurs are also in Jurassic Park. Do you think there
Yeah,
are dinosaurs right now?
do I think there's dinosaurs right now? No.
Yeah. Well, there are birds, but other than that,
Okay, there we go. Now, all right. So where do you get the dinosaurs or birds?
what is a dinosaur? Tell me what a dinosaur is.
It's. I asked you the question. I don't want to get caught. You can answer my question, and then we'll have a back
Sure.
and forth.
Dinosaur is a clade of it's a clade. Yeah, it's a group of organisms and all of its descendants.
Okay, where's your proof that dinosaurs went into birds? That's my question.
Dinosaurs didn't went into birds. That's not a thing. Birds are dinosaurs because they are part of the group Dinosaura.
So they never. You don't believe that dinosaurs evolved into birds?
Dinosaurs don't evolve into birds. Dinosaurs is a group of organisms that includes birds and all of its descendants. Dinosaura.
Okay. Where did the bird come? What was the bird before it was a bird?
What was the bird? You are what you are. You'll never not be what you are. That sentence doesn't make sense. That's like asking
So
what were you before you were you. Well, you weren't a thing when you weren't a thing.
so you believe in creation? You believe that birds were created as birds?
No, that sentence doesn't mean anything. And birds can be created as birds and dinosaurs. Just like you can be an athlete, or sorry, just like you can be a soccer player and be an athlete.
All right, brother. We're chasing definitions here. Do you believe in
Yeah,
evolution?
true. That's what taxonomy is. I agree.
Okay, so
Yeah.
do
You know what
you
that is?
do you believe that all of life come from a single-celled organism? Do you believe that?
There's no way to determine if Luca was a single-celled
Not what I
organism.
ask you. It's not what I ask you at
I
all.
don't know. There's no way to determine that.
So then, if you don't believe that, what part of evolution do you believe then? It sounds like you
All
don't believe.
organisms are related and they come from a common descendant.
What common descendant? Was that a single-celled organism?
There's no way to determine that. How would you determine that?
I'm asking you what you believe,
I
hero.
said I don't know. There's no way to determine that.
What would you consider your original your original being or whatever it was that you believe in, your common ancestor. If you play the clock far enough back in time, was there only one common ancestor, or were there different types of common ancestors?
If you're talking about the very first, it'd be one common ancestor.
Okay. What was that before it was a bird?
I mean, it would probably be some. It could be a unicellular, but I doubt it. It would probably be just a bunch of colonies of cellular organisms, very basic, very little genetic information. Probably, phospholipid cell like
You
layer.
see how you just use genetic information? Thank you. I had to go through all of that to get you to find where I was at to begin with. Thank
You
you.
know,
I didn't
genetics is proof of evolution,
pull
right?
teeth like this, brother. You just used genetic information. Thank you. Now I
I
don't know
didn't
why
say.
we had to do all that to get here.
Okay, so you know, genetics is proof of evolution, right?
Show me how.
Okay, what does it mean to be related to something?
I granted you that I believe in microevolution.
What does it
Micro.
mean to be related to something?
I don't. What do you mean? What does it mean to be related to
When
something?
I say you're related to your parents and you're related to your siblings, what am I telling you?
You're telling me that I come from my parents, and I'm related to my siblings because we have a common ancestor.
Okay, so when we say that you're related to someone, we're saying that you have common ancestry by virtue of what? How do you prove relatedness?
Oh man, that depends. I mean, with humans, it would probably be DNA. I would imagine.
Okay, how do you prove relatedness at all? What do you use? There's a specific field of science that you use.
I don't know. What are you going? What are you getting at? I don't know where you're
You
going with
don't
this.
know what the proof. When you say that you're related to your parents, you don't know why you're related to your parents.
I mean, I go with genetics, is what I just said, DNA, but evidently
Oh,
your answer didn't work for you, so I'm asking you now.
so genetics proves relatedness, right?
So what I said, why do we keep I give you the answer and then I don't know where you're going, so it makes me confused, and then later you come back to the exact answer I already gave you, brother.
So
Stick
we can use
stay with it.
genes
Stay with it.
to prove relatedness between organisms, right?
Okay. All right.
And we agree that relatedness necessitates a common ancestry.
Okay. I can grant
So
that.
all things that share genes all share a common ancestor.
I I would go with common design on some of those things. I
When was the
think
last time you saw anything living be designed?
I see design in everything.
No, no. When was the last time anything living? When was the last time you've seen it be designed, like actively?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, you've never seen it. So why do you have any reason to believe that anything is designed if you haven't seen it?
You've never seen evolution. Why do you have any reason to
I
believe in
have
that?
seen it. I've seen my parents have kids. I've seen plants. I've grown them. I've bred fruit flies. I mean,
Hold on.
I don't know what to tell you. We see it all the time. Have you ever seen a breed of dog?
Hold on. Okay. Now
Have you ever seen a breed of dog?
I've mentioned this
Have
50.
you ever seen a breed of dog?
I don't want to mute you or kick you because I've said this 15 times now. I grant you microevolution. I grant you microevolution. I can take a wolf kind of animal and I can selectively get the traits that already existed. You didn't make anything new. You took a dog animal or a dog kind of animal like a wolf and you said, you know what? This wolf has short hair. I'm going to breed it with this other wolf that has short hair. And eventually you'll get to a wolf that has really short hair. And you can do this with the legs and the nose and the eyes and the ears, and you can get all the way down to a dog. That is microevolution. I grant you that. But you cannot take a dog and say, you know what? I'm gonna breed this dog to be a bird. I've granted you microevolution.
Where
So
does
when you
evolution
say
say that?
I've seen my children, you can define it any way you want to. I don't care what definition you use, but
Where
give
does
me an
evolution say you could
example
turn a
of
dog into a
something
bird?
here. Give me an example of something outside of microevolution. You can't use
Where does
microevolution
evolution say that dogs can become birds?
in what you believe. You believe they have a common ancestor. You think a banana and a dog are related through a common ancestor.
They share genes.
You think they're related to a common ancestor. So if
They
they're
share
related,
genes, yeah.
okay, so just if they're related, just like the dog and the wolves are related, I can take their traits, I can isolate their traits, and I can encourage their traits, right? So if we're related to a banana, take a person or whatever organism you want, anything other than a banana, and breed it down to a banana, hero.
You would need the common ancestor of a banana and a dog to do that.
Okay, we have. We're all descending from that.
Really? We have the common ancestor of a banana and a dog? Do you know how old that would be? You think we have that?
I think that we can take traits that we have now and we can go back to it. That's my point.
What
If
shared traits do you think a banana and a dog have?
I don't think that's your religious viewpoint, brother, not mine.
You don't think bananas and dogs share any traits at all?
I don't think they're related at all. No,
You don't think they share genes?
I don't know what you mean by that. I think that I can take a tire off of my.
Do tires have genes?
Hear me, hero. I can take a tire off of my Chevy truck and it fits my Ford.
Do tires have genes?
It's a common design. So
Do tires have genes?
no, tires do not have genes.
Okay, so how are you going to determine if a tire is related to anything? The only definition of related is sharing genetics.
Okay.
Do bananas and humans share genetics?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, they do, so they're related.
No, that's your definition. I say that
That's the only definition of related there is.
No, I think that's I do.
You can say no unless you give a different definition of related.
No. I don't have to accept your definition.
You don't have to accept my definition, but then you're also admitting you're not related to your parents or your siblings.
No, see how you just stuck microevolution back in there? You see how this is all you evolutionists do. This is all you got. Hey, I can create long hair out of dogs. I can get short hair out of dogs. So therefore, we all come from a dot of nothing 65 million billion trillion years ago. Do you see the logical leap that you just made? Stop using micro.
Strawman, at least do it correctly. If you're going to do Strawman, at least do it correctly. Can you actually define what the theory of evolution is?
He definitely doesn't know.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. I don't. You could talk in a moment, but I don't want a bunch of interrupting going on. It just gets confusing, right? So just give me a second, and then I don't mind having that conversation with you. All right, but do you see how you went off of? I asked you for an example of macroevolution. You give me an example of microevolution. This is all evolutionists do. Anytime you ask them for any examples,
Hey, buddy, can you tell me what evolution is? Define it.
We're going back to definitions. So,
Go ahead,
there
too.
we
Can
go.
you define
Yeah.
it? Give the textbook definition, please.
all right, go ahead.
That's hard.
Angel. What do you got? I'll go to you. What do you got?
Both want the textbook definition of evolution. Can you do it, please?
Well, it depends on what your type. I mean, evolution is just change over time.
It's definitely not, but okay.
Evolution
No, it's
is
not. Wait, let's go even further back. I think we need to actually define what is a scientific theory.
a theory. Are you asking what the scientific method?
Okay, bro. Look. This is. I'm gonna walk. I'm in the third grade. You're the science teacher, and I'm walking into my third grade science class. Could you define what a scientific theory is, as if I am in the third grade? Go ahead, host.
Okay, so I would define scientific theory as you coming up with, you make an observation and then you come up with a theory as to why that observation is doing.
So theory to define theory.
You're coming up with a theory. All right, so let me
A
give you.
recursive definition.
Oh,
Guys,
God.
I don't mind having a conversation, but your condescending laughs and just constantly having us see. This is the problem that I had with one while ago. Is I gave you the definition and then you
You didn't even give a proper definition.
I don't want to mute you here, but we're not going to talk all over each other. When I'm giving you the definition and then you don't accept it, and then 15 minutes later you come back
Genetics, you don't accept the definition
with
related
the
cost.
definition that I gave. So angry. Instead of us going back and forth, why don't you go ahead and get to where you want to go, and so we can get past this. Move on to
Okay, I'm just demonstrated that you have not even the most basic understanding of science, that you're making opinions of biology, yet you haven't passed third grade science.
So you should be able to make me look real stupid. Give me an example of it.
And we
You do
are.
look
We already did.
stupid.
We already
You don't know
did.
what related is.
We already did.
Creation, tell me what related is.
I've talked to you in a moment. I don't want to keep going back and forth because we're not getting nowhere. I want to stay on one topic at a time.
You said we could make you look stupid. I'm going to make you look stupid. What does it mean to be related?
You did it by going back and using my definitions that I did. Thank you.
What does it mean to be related?
You didn't believe it, and then you went right back to it. So stay muted.
Hey,
up.
bud, what does it mean to be related?
I don't want to have to kick you, but I will kick you. I'm not trying
If you
to.
need a safe space, make a safe space. I have no problem with it.
I'd like to have this conversation. I love this kind of topic, but if it just turns into a back and forth, we're not getting nowhere. Then there's no sense in doing it. So
I agree.
Could you
It's
define
really hard to
evolution
talk
in 3
about.
words?
I couldn't hear you. He was talking.
Could you define evolution in 3 words?
No,
The same way that Darwin defined it?
Here's what I'm here. What's more reliable, the Bible or evolution? Can you give me an example? That's where we're at.
Don't focus. Demonstrate that you actually passed third grade. You already failed third grade science. You're back in the grade. So I'm gonna give you the definition of evolution. As mentioned in page 11 in Campus Biology book. It's a process of biological change in which species accumulate differences from their ancestors as they adapt to different environments over time. Thus, we can account for differences between the two species with the idea that certain heritable changes occurred after the two species diverged over time. As Theodosius Dobzhansky, nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, On the Origin of Species is considered probably after the Bible the second most influential book.
Okay, so when I said the definition of change over time,
you lied.
I lied. You just gave the exact.
Hey,
this is how stupid you are.
Host.
You don't understand that we're talking about life, you fucking jackass. This is how stupid you are, and here you think you're fucking cooking.
Host, do you think the weather
speaking
changes?
to a guy above me, he's way better in evolution than me because that's his career.
Do you think the weather
that's
changes?
Not my career.
All right, brother. We got a
Host, do you think the weather changes?
We got a definition of evolution.
Host, do you think the weather changes?
No, it stays the same forever, and it rains upon this flat Earth. So,
Yeah, host, do you think the weather changes?
He's a fucking jackass.
Host, do you think the weather changes?
Yes, brother. I think the weather changes.
Do you think weather changing over time is evolution?
Do I think? Well, I mean, it depends on what evolution you're talking about.
Do you think weather changing over time is evolution?
Yeah, I do.
Bro, do you think weather changing over time is evolution?
Yes, it changes over time.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Get out of here. You're so fucking stupid.
Oh my god.
Fucking dishonest jackass. Bro, I don't know what country you're on, but I think you can apply for a financial aid and you can actually go into spring and actually take biology 1 and 2 at your local university.
Brother, I don't mind having a conversation with you, but we haven't moved past the definition. Okay, it changes.
Let me define it really quickly.
We've already done it. Hold on. I don't mind having more people jumping in, but come on, man. We're stuck on.
Okay, so can you define what a scientific theory is?
No, I've answered your question, then you gave me your.
And you failed.
Okay, I failed by your standards. Now give me instead of us.
Not by my standards, by the scientific standards.
Fair enough. I'll grant you that. But now,
so then you have no business talking about biology if you have no understanding of what a scientific theory is.
Okay. Give me an example of your evolution.
Okay. Well, no. First, we need to understand what a scientific theory is.
No,
the scientific theory, the definition is a model that explains how specific natural phenomena works. It is backed up by facts. It is the highest an idea can go in science. So when you gave me your definition,
no.
Okay, this is funny as shit, man. I've been sitting here listening to this crap for like 20 minutes. Holy God, bro. And he's back.
Wait, Reddit atheist.
Reddit atheist. Bigoted goat fucker forcing collecting the you call God gives you brain rot from all the anti-intellectual bullshit you saw from the.
Hey, man, quit getting poked out by these internet trolls, man.
Oh, creation flood. What's your definition of evolution?
Kama Sutra you call the Bible made by jackasses 2,000 years ago in the Middle East. You fucking dishonest piece of shit, you jackass. That's why you don't get the science from the goat fucker Kama Sutra.
Man, I can't believe you don't get the science from the goat fuckers, man.
Oh, I had to block his account, man. You can't have a conversation with him.
I know. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead. Wait, what was you saying?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's your definition of evolution?
I would say the definition of evolution is change over time.
Okay, there's a little bit more to that.
I would agree with you, but so we're not talking past each other because I got stuck with the last guys on definitions. I agree with you. There's more to it depending on what you're talking about. Like the last guy would say, does the weather evolve? Yes, it doesn't start off as just storm clouds. It actually starts off as evaporating water into the sky. So yes, it evolves. But what I'm talking about here is the evolution of from basically monkey to man. So that's
sure.
That's where we're at. Give me an example of that.
Okay, so I'm not sure what you're characterizing by that because that's not necessarily the definition of it. So if I can go really quick and I'll tell you the definition, right, which would be the change of allele frequencies over a period of time through successive generations, right? So if I was going to give you a bunch of what's it called? Not prompts, but like let's say number one, right? Do alleles change over time? Do you agree alleles change over time?
Do I agree? Animals change over. I believe.
Alleles.
I
Do you
don't
know what alleles are?
know what is that.
So alleles are sort of a part of a gene that would code for a characteristic. So say if you have a brother, right? Your hair is brown, but your brother has blonde hair. One of his alleles would have coded for the blonde hair, but you have brown hair. That would be an example of an allele.
Okay, I don't know how much of the conversation you was listening to before, so let me go ahead and make my point, my position clear, so we're not going back and forth to each other. I believe in microevolution. I think that is testable. That's part of science. However that happens, that's fine. Those micros or whatever you said that changes, that's fine. But that's microevolution. I granted microevolution. Now we got to see something past microevolution.
Right. So microevolution and macroevolution, they're not actually terms used by biologists. The thing is that with micro and macro, your terms used, it more describes the time of how evolution happens. So if it happens over a larger time, you'll see a larger change.
Okay, can you give me an example of any type of evolution happening outside of microevolution?
Again, you would have to observe it for more than millions of years. So it wouldn't necessarily be possible. Or you could find evidence through transitionary fossils. Yeah,
Hold on. I don't want to interrupt you, but we got to stay on one topic at a time so we move on. You said
that was part of the topic.
No, I got you, but then we went into it doesn't take too long, and then it moved on. So I want to stay on the topic. So say for example, you said it takes too long for us to observe it. How many?
Well, for you to just see it.
Could I interrupt real quick?
What you got, real quick? What you got?
I'll mute myself again, but we have observed it in flies many times.
Anything outside of microevolution you've observed in flies? Like what?
We've observed flies evolving multiple wings. We've viewed them developing new color combinations, the capacity to digest different material. Flies are the only large animal I know. Large as in, not a microorganism, but are the only larger creature I've seen that in. But we have observed this in flies.
Okay, so what you've just done is what we call microevolution. The fly that I'm aware of the experiment that you're talking about. They put these flies and gave them a bunch of hit them with a bunch of radiation or whatnot, and then you had flies that were born with multiple wings. They had flies. Some of the flies was born with no wings. We don't even call that a fly now. We call it a walk. And they were born in different colors. Yes, that's absolutely true. But that's microevolution. A genetic trait that already existed got mutated. Just like there are children born with additional body parts in spots that they're not supposed to be. I might be born with an extra arm. That's a mutation, yes. But it's not evolution because the information was already there. It just got mutated. So what you see and this goes back to my point with my other brother, when you say you can't see this over extended periods of time, well, why can't we see it in bacteria that can have up to 9 generations in a single day? My question would be, how many generations did it take for a monkey to go to a man?
Again, before when I was telling you something, right, you said mutation isn't an example of evolution. If it is a change of allele frequency passed on through successive generations, that would be an example of evolution. You could witness it through bacteria becoming immune to antibiotics. But yeah, bacteria becoming immune to antibiotics is an example of evolution because alleles change over time and they are passed on through successive generations.
They showed me how other individuals, and this is why I like this, man. I really appreciate you having this conversation because the other individuals just wanted to get stuck and argue and act like idiots. So let's actually have this conversation. Let me ask you, and I'm asking you this not to insult you. I just want to see what you know. You use the specific example of the bacteria becoming resistant to antibiotics. Do you know that the resistance predated the antibiotic?
Again, what do you mean by that?
It means so the theory goes the bacteria faced a new threat of antibiotics because antibiotics is a new invention. Because the bacteria faced a new threat, it had this evolutionary thing kicked in. It evolved a new way to fight the antibiotic to become resistant. That's the theory, right?
No, you're confusing it. It would be
So
a change. It would just
so I will speak. So the microorganism is not gonna like change itself. It's already born with the gene, and what happens is all the ones that are not resistant to the medication will unalive, and then all the ones that are resistant will survive and repopulate and then spread across the world.
I'm sorry, Yen. Do you believe in the Bible or are you evolution?
I believe in evolution.
Okay, why did you just give an example the example you just gave 100% supports me. They were born with it. It already the resistance predated it, so it did not evolve from it. I'm not trying to sling rocks or throw anything, but y'all need to understand that.
That is true. But did you know that also human DNA itself is older than Earth itself? Did you know that the human DNA has been dated to even older than the rock here? That implies that like there are microorganisms all over space, which there are. So, I mean, that doesn't support. I'm sorry, that doesn't support your biblical account of things. First of all, second of all, I think
I don't want to mute you. I want to have a great conversation, but now we're starting to go off into something else. I want to stay where we're at. I don't want to go off into space molecules. I want to stay right here where we're at.
We're gonna stay right here where we're at too. I don't think that the
Hold on. I want to have this conversation with you too, and I do. But it's kind of rude to step in and step on all the other guys when I was talking to them first. Let them finish their
I'll
point.
step all over a Southern Baptist any day.
Okay.
I'm not a Southern Baptist.
All right. So my man, I was talking to you.
You're wrong.
Okay, you can have that opinion, and I would like to keep you in here. You can have your opinion, and I'll let you voice your opinion. But I told you I'll let you talk, but let's let those other guys who were talking before you finish it, or it's just rude. Come on, let's have a little.
No, your entire existence is rude.
Oh my gosh, all with these people all the time. So, all right, brother, I was having a great conversation with you. Now, do you see how the bacteria resistance was already here first, so they did not become resistant to the bacteria? It was already here, so that's not evolution.
Again, that really has nothing to do. You could say if there would be a recombination of a gene, right? Recombination of the amino acids, it would code for another characteristic. You could have a new characteristic appear.
I think you're avoiding what just happened. So I want to make sure my skin starts to itch when we start jumping off of topic and moving on. You gave a very specific example. I'm showing you how this example is not evolution. Can you either refute that or not? It's not evolution. It predated. So the resistance was already in the gene code.
Again, let me bring up my friend. He's a virologist. He could probably help with this more than I can.
Okay, but I mean, I don't mind having a conversation with you, but I mean, if it
I'm not that knowledgeable in it. One of my friends is a virologist. He could probably have a better conversation than me. So let me try and bring him up here.
Sure enough. And guys, I'm gonna have to leave in about maybe 15. So I'll
right.
Take it. All right, Yap, what you got? You the only one left.
I didn't realize he dropped. No, I had mostly just requested up to correct a couple of things on like the details, just on like the fly detail, and then on when I had commented it below, which is when I first clicked request up. When he was defining alleles, he defined it as parts of a gene. It's variations of a gene. So alleles are whole genes themselves.
Are you aware of the experiment they did with the butterflies? Or not necessarily experiment, that it was in the town that had the coal, and the butterflies went from moths went from white wings to black wings.
I'm not, though. That does make sense. Like I believe you that happened.
Well, I'll stick with the flies example you gave me then. But do you not see how that's an example of a trait that already existed and just got encouraged, like having dogs with longer hair? That it didn't create any new information.
The fly one did create new ones, though we're talking minor. So it's not that new genes are rising out of nothing, but that new variations of genes are being created through the radiation.
I'm familiar with that. So what new genes were created out of
not new genes, new variations of the same genes. so that the genes that the fly has will have modifications to them as a result of, in this case, radiation, though the imperfections of the replication process would be what scientists would normally say, like most of these are. And so the genes you have are subject to tiny changes, and then these are what are actually being selected. And so they'll just occur randomly over time.
And I understand people believe that, but the experiment that you brought up made lesser, worse off flies every time. The fly
most mutations are worse off.
Yeah, agreed. But here's the standard which I'm trying to tell people. Give me an example of one of those evolution outside of microevolution. Excuse me. Just give me one. I want one example of something, because this is what evolutionists do. And I'm don't take this personal. I'm not meaning you personally, but they'll give you an example of microevolution and saying, hey, you know, this bacteria become resistant to antibiotics. Well, it predated it, so it didn't evolve from it. Or they'll give you an example of genetic information loss and then claim that that's evolution. Like, for example, they'll say the whale is losing its, you know, the cow went back into the water and it started losing its legs and it mutated into the whale and it started losing its legs. Well, that's not an example of evolution if you're losing information. So does anybody have an example of evolution that doesn't require a loss of information and it's not microevolution?
So I would correct that the assertion is not loss of information, but change of information. So it's not new things being created, but existing things being changed. I'm saying that's the only examples they give. Yes, no, but the thing is the theory is that, and there isn't in like theory of evolution, I've never heard it described in my classes as a separate micro or macro. Just that there is micro, which the way you're describing micro, that we've seen, and that these are believed to occur over time and to amount to the changes we then see in the fossil record.
See, that's the leap that I'm having a problem with. I understand that way smarter people than me believe this, and that's fine. You can believe what you want, but they want to tell you that because we can test and observe microevolution, then macroevolution is true. Somebody's going to have to show me that. You can't. And my point is the only examples they ever give is genetic information loss, or they give an example of microevolution. Microevolution does make changes within the same kind of animal. We can test this, we can observe this, but those changes are already within the genetic code. We don't see anything added outside of the genetic code, and you can't ever, just like I used the example a while ago, we can take a wolf type of animal and breed it down to a Chihuahua, and they seem very, very different, but they're still the same kind of animal. What you can't do is take a wolf type of animal and then breed any other kind of animal into it, like a bird or a reptile or a snake. You can't breed a dog down to that because it's not in the genetic information. Al, what's up, man? Welcome to the panel.
Hey, what's up?
You got anything to add?
Just wondering, because I think the answer might automatically be yes, but you know there's Christians who believe in evolution, right?
Yes. I don't really like to argue with them, but evolution and Christianity cannot go hand in hand. They're exactly opposed from each other.
How was that?
Evolution teaches that birds turned into reptiles. The Bible says that birds were here before reptiles. Evolution teaches that monkey came to man.
Hold
on. I'll give you several examples here. Do you know that light was created before the sun, according to the Bible? Evolution says that sun obviously creates the light. Do you know that evolution says that the sun was here first, then the planets, and then you have the plants? Obviously, they evolved. Do you know that the Bible says the plants were here before the sun? The plants were created the day before the sun. So how did the sun last if they believed in millions and millions of years? The Bible says that death did not enter the world until Adam sinned. Evolution says that millions of things had to die for Adam to get here. So those individuals who are Christian and claim that they believe in evolution, there's only two options. Either they're ignorant about what the Bible says, and that's not an insult. I'm just saying they're uneducated in it, or they're deliberately trying to change what the Bible says in an effort to make their religious viewpoint fit.
Can I say
So
something
where
real quick?
so where do dinosaurs come from?
God made them on day 6 with man. You know dinosaurs are in the Bible, right?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. So then
As well.
why did you ask me where they come from?
They come from birds, right?
No,
Most
I
of
don't.
them.
No,
No, birds come from dinosaurs.
Yeah, evolution says that birds come from dinosaurs, but yeah,
No.
I don't believe that at all either.
Is it Alejandro? Alejandro, the scientific belief is that dinosaurs are older than birds, that birds are technically a form of dinosaur, that they're...
Descendants.
Oh,
Like
but it's-
dinosaurs evolved into birds.
Anybody coming in here? I want to have this conversation. I do have to go in a little while. I love having these conversations, but I mean, let's not interrupt and she said descendant, come from. Let's not argue over minor definitions. So go ahead. You can finish your thought, young lady. I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. No, I was just wanting to clarify that, like, the assertion is that dinosaurs are older, that birds are effectively velociraptors that are still around, that raptors became little feathered Archaeopteryx, and then in the post is it K-12? I'm forgetting. No, it's kindergarten. I just got off a 24-hour shift, so my brain's a little fried. But in the post meteor impact, that the conditions were strict enough to force Archaeopteryx into becoming modern birds.
And me, as a Christian, I would say they have to prove that. That's a crazy assumptions to say that dinosaurs turned into birds without providing any evidence for that. Kingdom, what you got, bro? What's going on?
I was on another panel, and they were talking about if the Earth is flat or not, because within the Bible it says Earth is flat. Earth is the center of the universe. Or what? It was just some sort of panel, right? But now we know the Earth is like a sphere or whatever, right? So this person, he actually believed that the Earth actually changed accurately as the Bible was being told. He said there was a shift in the change of the Earth. That the Earth was at one point flat, but then it became a sphere. Right. I was like, yo, this guy's crazy.
Yeah,
Because he actually believes in that. He actually literally believes the Earth changed according to the Bible.
The Bible doesn't teach that the Earth was flat, but I don't want to get into a flat Earth debate. That's not what I'm doing.
Right. No, but I'm just saying that this person, he believes every detail of the Bible, right? But if you present him with evidence of the planet and whatnot,
he can't claim that he believes every detail of the Bible and then claim the Earth is flat because the Bible. That's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. His point was there was a change in the Earth that happened. That was his claim, and he actually believed it. I asked him "Are you joking?" He's like, "No, this is what he believes in."
That's his claim. Let me ask you, where do you stand on evolution?
I believe in evolution to an extent.
What do you mean to a certain extent?
So it's there's not enough evidence to provide where the origin of life is per se or how it started. There are some sort of micro evidence here and there, but it's not really it doesn't really give the totality of evolution, because evolution is very, very hard to provide evidence for, because it takes a long time to see the trending or whatnot. So it's hard within our time to prove evolution. Go ahead.
You made a claim that evolution takes a long time, and so this is why I say that evolution is part of a religion, because evolution is they have the God of the gaps. You hear a lot of Christians, the God of the gaps. Anytime they don't know an answer to something, they say God did it. Evolution has the God of the gaps, and it's called time. Anytime they can't show you evidence, because it takes too long. Well, that in 75 or 80,000 generation, which is a couple of million years in human evolution, evidently we went from a monkey type animal to a human type animal in a couple of million years. Do you know that in that same time period, we have done the longest running evolutionary experiment on E. coli bacteria, and we still have worse off E. coli bacteria now? I said we still have. When they started with E. coli bacteria, it had certain abilities, and now it has lost more information in those longest running evolutionary experiments. And we've had 70 or 80,000 generations now, because the experiment started when I was born. They've been running it for 40 years. So why is it when people say we don't have enough time to see this? Well, why is it in human evolution in 70 or 80,000 generations, we have billions of genetic changes to where we can go from a monkey to a human, but we can't see that in bacteria. You think in the smallest type of animals, the single-celled organisms and stuff like of this nature, the bacteria, you think that if we could watch them over several generations, that we should see some type of mutation or some type of evolution, but we see the exact opposite.
So like you're comparing between like, single cell organisms with multi-cell organisms, right? So it's easy to view some sort of evolutionary change or some sort of like natural selection within single cell organisms. I don't know much about your experiment, but it seems like they're devolving, like, these E. coli bacteria that are actually devolving in a laboratory setting, right? See, what's missing is the key aspects of how a single cell organism actually turns into a multi-cell organism, right? That's a evidence in evolution that we haven't figured out or found a false evidence, or we don't even know if it's there or not. That's kind of the gap, as you're claiming, per se. And that's something, that's why I say I believe evolution to an extent, right? There are some perceived notions of natural selection. Natural selection is true. In fact, if you observe an organism or whatnot, right? But there are gaps within evolution that we can't wholly say this is true, like this theory works, right? We're still trying to examine whatever evidence that we have in order to find the truth, right? The truth may or may not be there, right? But I can't claim for a fact that this is real because we don't have actual backing to provide that claim.
What about some other two panelists there? What do you say about the longest running evolutionary experiment where we see that bacteria is actually losing information instead of gaining it?
I mean, that's going to be more likely is that like I said, the majority of mutations are going to be information loss or information, like even when changed and not lost, would be disadvantageous. The window of, I guess, genetic combinations necessary to continue to just keep you alive and keep you functioning is fairly high. And so changing the genes that allow you to, say, digest vitamin C, doing that in a way that makes it more effective is a lot less likely than doing it in a way that just destroys your ability to do so.
So wouldn't you say that that's kind of like taking it by faith? Because I believe, and this is me talking as if I'm an evolutionist. I believe in evolution, but when we test it, we do experiments, we see the exact opposite. But guess what? It still happened over there, just where we can't see it. It still happens every day, just not when we can test it. Wouldn't that sound like
so this isn't necessarily. This is me saying that you will find that rare gene that helps. You'll have that rare humans have mutations, and there is a mutation in the Tibetan population. Just because I'm Buddhist, so there's a mutation in the majority of Tibetans and Sherpa people that allows them to survive with significantly less oxygen.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to jump onto that because we're moving along. But
you're fine.
That's a trait that already existed again anyway. But
that's fine.
What I'm saying is with you just made a claim that will happen. But why is it when we believe that from monkey to man in 70 or 80,000 generations, we had these huge explosions in evolutions and all of these different traits had to change because, from a monkey to a man, 1 million years of evolution, the traits from its children had to be extreme in an effort to go from a tree-dwelling monkey to a upright walking man. But in the same generational count of bacteria, which should be extremely easy to see mutation in, we haven't had any of those things that you happen, but you just made a claim that, well, it will one day. And this is my point. That's a faith claim.
I'm not saying it will one day. This is not actually what I'm trying to discuss. I'm saying that the probability that just generally, not in terms of evolution or against, the probability that a gene mutation will be beneficial is extraordinarily small. And in just the ability for your body to survive and in the environment, the majority of those mutations that are harmful are going to be selected out and just result in that creature passing away or not surviving, not passing on that gene.
Can I support? Yeah, pass that real quick.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me ask her this, and then I promise you I'll move to you. Can you give me an example of one of those genetic information gain mutations?
I'm not saying there's information gain. What I'm saying is it's information. It's like you have a string of 25 letters, one letter changes. Because that arrangement has to be so specific for you to survive, almost any change is going to result in you being worse off or not being able to survive at all. The majority of sorry, 1 sec.
I agree with you.
Sorry, I had brush fire earlier this morning, so before I got off my shift, so still coughing from that. So the majority of these changes, just regardless of whether evolution for or against evolution, just the majority of these changes are going to not be effective. The majority of variations in the same, I'm forgetting which protein it is right now, but the one that allows Tibetan and Sherpa people to survive with higher blood cell count and with lower oxygen.
Yeah.
From what I remember, there's like 12 variations of that, all of which, other than this one, are disorders and result in significantly decreased ability to take in oxygen.
Yeah,
and so
that trait was already there. It just got pronounced. That was my point.
And the other 12, we do see random genetic mutation in children very, very often. The problem is that and the majority of this is on the kind of junk DNA that doesn't encode for anything. It doesn't produce changes because only it's 5% of your DNA actually produces proteins.
And I'll say this now, that I would agree with the current position that you stated with junk DNA, but we have to understand that that's our position, and 5 years from now they could actually find out that that's not true at all. It's just like the vestigial argument structure. This is a vestigial structure, but no, there is no vestigial structures. Every single thing that we have, or every single thing that everyone's brought up as a vestigial structure, is not vestigial at all. It has a use. So I would agree with you on that. But I would say for now, just because we don't have any knowledge, I would be wary about classifying as junk DNA. Kingdom, what was you saying, brother? I told you I'd go back to you.
Yeah, I can say this, and I gotta go real soon. So what Yap was saying was true. So mutations are actually random. We don't know what the person or what organism is gonna get in terms of mutations, right? It just randomly comes in with DNA. When they when an organism is passing its own genes or actually replicating itself in terms of single cell organisms, right? DNA changes do happen, right? And then when a DNA change happens, you may or may not get a random mutation. And it may be beneficial or not beneficial. Most likely it's not beneficial, right? And so for natural selection, when you get a beneficial trait that helps you survive more, right, then you're able to pass along these traits to the next generation because you're able to survive and pass down your traits. That's what natural selection is. But the probability of mutation even happening is very, very minimal, right? That's why you need a lot of time for it for mutations to even come to happen, right? Even though the chances are 0.01%, right? If you give enough time, a beneficial mutation would come and occur, right? And so it takes
right there, Kingdom, right there. You just, I want, this is why I'm doing this. Why I'm doing this, and I myself, I have to go a little bit later too. I don't see why people I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. Why should you not believe the Bible? And that's what I'm ultimately doing. Is I want people to look and see that evolution is not real. It's not true. It has no evidence for it. And then I'm hoping by that will make you look at Christ and you'll turn to Christ. That's why I'm doing it. But Kingdom, what I want to notice is, or what I want to get on, is what you just stated. What you just stated was a faith-based statement. It hasn't happened yet, but give it some more time. That's the God of the gaps, brother. Every single evolutionary test that we do produce less and less information in these material. And you take it on faith to believe that it could eventually, it's going to create something. But that's a faith-based statement, because you can say, I believe this happened. And this is the only field of science where evolution gets to do this. you make predictions about your you make an observation, then you come up with a theory, and then your theory makes predictions, and then you test those predictions. Evolution is the only theory that makes predictions. 100% of their predictions are wrong, and it still gets to keep the theory. I mean, I could go over example over example. The prime example was my man using the bacteria earlier, and saying that it became resistant. The words that we use, like it became resistant. You can go on YouTube right now and watch these videos, and they're going to show you the longest running evolutionary experiment that I mentioned earlier. They'll tell you, when you watch these videos, they'll tell you that it's evolving. But you actually get into the scientific papers and look at it, and you realize it's not. They say that it started to learn to eat a new food source, which is glucose or citrus. It was eating glucose to begin with, and then it started eating citrates. So they're like, oh, it started eating citrus, so therefore it's doing something new. It evolved.
Right.
It didn't. The transfer of proteins that allow in glucose change in oxygen and no oxygen. So the transfer of protein in oxygen, it changes to a different shape to allow glucose in. When there's no oxygen present, it don't have lungs like we have lungs, and it's not going to, if there's no oxygen present, it's not going to die. But the transfer of protein changes and allows in citrus. So it already had the ability to eat citrus before. It just started eating it without the presence of oxygen. So they're like, oh, that's evolution. No, it's not. The mechanism changed, and he's gone now. But that's my point, guys. I'm trying to get people to believe that the Bible, actually, when God said he did it this way, there's no reason to not believe that. And you can see manipulation through evolution everywhere you look. I was the young lady down there having a great conversation with her, but she mentioned earlier that, I don't know if she believes this, but evolutionists believe this, that reptiles turned into birds. And there are no evidence for this whatsoever. Now, there are a couple of dinosaurs.
Birds are reptiles, but...
Say it again?
Birds are reptiles, but doesn't...
I mean, you just saying that doesn't make it true. You can reclassify stuff and change definitions. That doesn't make it true. I can say that I'm 8 foot tall. It doesn't make it true. So you can say birds are reptiles. It's the language change. And I would encourage you to do this. Look up the Tyrannosaurus Rex on Google. Just type in images, and how many of the images on the page come up where Tyrannosaurus Rex has feathers? A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And a lot of them couple of years ago, because they really want to push in that dinosaurs turned to where they had feathers. Now, there may have been a couple of dinosaurs that had a feather type material on them, like the Velociraptor. But there's another field of science that's looking at it and says Velociraptor, the bird shape of the bone. You can take a regular bird, and if its neck stretched out, it looks like a bird, or if it's curled in, it looks like a bird, but if it's stretched out, it looks like a dinosaur. So a lot of it is how you position these bones. A lot of scientists say that Velociraptor was like a turkey, was more like a turkey than a dinosaur. It didn't have scaly skin. It had feathers like a turkey. And it had teeth, and they say, well, there could have been this other kind of animal that had teeth and had a beak. And people say, nah, that they don't go together. Well, a Triceratops had teeth and had a beak. So yeah, they can go together. Just because this animal existed back then that we don't see today doesn't mean that it evolved from it. But my point is that you'll see a Tyrannosaurus Rex. They'll show you all kinds of feathers. Here's what we know, and here's what we have. We have fossilized skin of Tyrannosaurus Rex. We know for a fact it did not have feathers. So why do they keep pushing this make-believe that Tyrannosaurus Rex had feathers? And it is trying to subconsciously plant in you that reptiles turned into birds. There's just no evidence for that. And the evidence that's there for Tyrannosaurus Rex having feathers is 100% made up and factual at all. There's no facts. There's no archaeological evidence to support the Tyrannosaurus having feathers at all. But yet they still show it to you with feathers. If you go watch the new Jurassic Park movie, you'll see a lot of dinosaurs with feathers that did not have feathers. There was that raptor wasn't as big as it's claimed in Jurassic Park. The Velociraptor was actually the size of a turkey. It wasn't very big at all.
Boring in general. They didn't war at all.
Yeah. So
I do want to say real quick, in terms of establishing truth and them changing their opinion, it would feel disingenuous for someone who doesn't accept science and is trying to debate with it honestly, but from the position of science, they don't believe they have absolute truth. You believe you have the Bible, and this Bible does tell you the truth. From their perspective, they're just looking at this sea of information and trying to make best guesses. And so they're going to keep changing their opinion. And so you're debating with this constantly changing view. And that's just from their perspective.
I would agree with your statement if they didn't do the same thing. Now, I can ultimately say that, yeah, I believe in the Bible, but it's not a blind faith. It's not a blind faith. I don't go off of just nothing. You know, I have evidence for my faith. I'm not here to talk about all the, the different codexes and stuff, and we could go through all that later. I'm here to talk about evolution. But my faith is not a blind faith. Now, you made a statement about science. That's the way that it should be, yes. But I can give you example. You know of a scientist named Mary Schweitzer. You do know about her discovering soft tissue in dinosaur bones?
I don't. Dinosaurs are not my specialty. I am just going back. I'm a paramedic and I'm going back for a pre-med.
Right. Okay. Well, I hope you do well in that. But you can look this up. You can look it up right now. And the reason why most people don't know about this is because they haven't come up with the theory yet that saves them. So you can Google right now, soft tissue in dinosaur bones. Now, according to them, dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago. So there's no way that soft tissue could last for 65 million years. So Mary Schweitzer took and she doesn't believe in creation. She took a dinosaur, she sawed a thin slice of its leg bone off, and she put it inside of an acid material that dissolves everything but organic material, and she was expecting not to find anything. Well, when she found soft tissue in dinosaur bones, and you can look this up, you can stretch it and pull it out. It's soft tissue. It's a tissue type material. I don't know what they classify it as, but it's definitely not a fossil. It's organic material that they found inside of Tyrannosaurus rex bones. And when she come out with this, she's not an evolutionist, or she's not a creationist, she's an evolutionist. When she come out with this, she almost got fired from her university. The scientific community come out against her and called her everything but a child of God. And you can listen to her interview on this, how they piled up against her and called her a liar because this couldn't happen. The problem is she said, here's my method, here's what I did, replicate it. And now you can replicate it like crazy, and people are doing it. The most people that are doing it now are creation scientists because you can dissolve the bone and find soft tissue. The problem is the scientists do not have a reason as to why this dinosaur bone, who's 65 million years old, has soft tissue. Now, I'm not going to not tell you the other side of it. They're coming up with a theory now as to trying to say that the iron in the blood creates a formaldehyde, and that's what preserves the tissue for 65 billion years. But we can test the decay rates of things in full formaldehyde. You can take a small shark and put it in a jar of nothing but formaldehyde and close the lid, and you can still see the decay rates. It's going to last a lot longer than you can imagine, but it's not going to last 65 million years. In just a couple of years, its eyes will be gone. Even in a formaldehyde that's supposed to meant to stop this decay rate, it still decays. So the reason why most people don't know about this is because the science hadn't come up with a reason as to why this soft tissue. So going back to your original point, they have something that directly goes and spits in their face of 65 million years. Now, dinosaurs are in the book of Job. So Christians believe that dinosaurs was made with man, and that after the flood, they couldn't survive in this new atmosphere, and that people hunted dragons, and for whatever reason, most dinosaurs obviously aren't around today. So they're not 65 million years old. But you have evidence that absolutely slaps scientists in the face. Do they get to A, keep the theory and come up with a theory as to why it's still doing it, or do they do what they're supposed to do and scrap the 65 million years? So to going back to your point, they have a religious viewpoint. My viewpoint is that both evolution and the Bible are both religious viewpoints. I have evidence for my religion. Evolution has no evidence for its religion. And anytime they're wrong, just like I stated, soft tissue cannot last 65 million years. It can't. They're trying to come up with another theory now that saves the original theory. That's not science. That's not how you do things. You don't come out with a conclusion and then try to make every piece of evidence fit that. But there's an exact example of how scientists are trying to make the conclusion, the conclusion, they're trying to make the evidence fit that where it doesn't. So if I'll give y'all two the last word. Look, I really appreciate having this discussion. You got the first part of this hour was idiots wanting to get up here and yell and scream. And I've had a very productive conversation with y'all. I hope y'all get to come to know Jesus. If you don't, hey, message me. I'll tell you about him. But I appreciate the conversation. I'm getting ready to go, but I'll give y'all to the last words.
I'm fine. You have a good night, sir.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for the conversation. All right, brother, you got anything you'd like to say before end out?
So you're saying because I thought the Bible was about like evolution being more truthful than the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Even though
I think the Bible is more truthful. That's my.
Yes. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Good conversation, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one.
You too.